Welcome to Outbuilding. Hey, if you're a subscriber, I really appreciate you taking the time to subscribe and watch some of these videos. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Today we took possession of a new tractor, so this is going to be super helpful around here, primarily for taking care of the road, working on these brush piles that we have, and then kind of managing the Scotch broom and the blackberry that we have. So I've got some implements here, and I'm going to go through the tractor piece by piece and tell you a little bit about it. Today, I'm just going to focus on why I chose this tractor, and then we'll do some other videos with some of the other attachments as we get those hooked up and start using them. So I looked at a bunch of different models. Our dealerships in where I live are literally side by side, so there's not like a distance to dealership kind of question. And I looked for a brand that made their own tractor, seemed to have long-term support, and Yanmar was high on that list, as well as Kubota. I looked at John Deere and I just wasn't impressed with what I saw, and so didn't really go further there. I had looked at, this is the 425, the SA425, and I'd looked at this one and then decided instead to get a Kubota. And unfortunately, I ordered that in June, and then that kept being delayed, and I'd get a call from the dealer and he'd say, oh, it's not going to be in for another month, and then it was another 2 months, and then it was October, and then it was going to be February or March. And so it was pushing on a year just to get a tractor, and it was a 3520, which is LX 3520, which is a new model. But it just seemed unreasonable, and it made me feel like if that's gonna be the support I'm gonna get from either Kubota or the dealership, that wasn't a good choice. So I went back to this one. The other nice thing about this is it's just small enough and light enough that it'll fit on my trailer. And I know everybody always says you should buy more tractor than you think you need. And that may be true for me, but if I buy a bigger tractor than this, then we need a bigger trailer than that, and we need a bigger vehicle to tow it, and it starts to become a big complicated thing. And so we kind of went with this one. It's smaller, it has larger wheels, so the SA325 has smaller tires and wheels. This one has larger ones, so it's got a little bit more clearance and a little bit more stability. And I'm going to do some things I'll show in future videos how I'm going to increase the stability. I'm going to put in some weight, some spacers to kind of increase that stability. And then there's a bunch of implements that we needed. And so, you know, it comes with a bucket. We have the backhoe on the back, which we can use for digging up some small stumps. Our stumps here are in sand, so we don't need to necessarily grind them out. We can pull most of them out. If they're really big, we'll need to grind them out or leave them. But a lot of these small alder trees, these deciduous trees, have pretty small stumps that we can pull out with the backhoe, some fence posts, some other things. And then if we do any trenching for building, we can use the backhoe for that. I also got, everybody says the most important, or one of the first attachments you should get is a pair of pallet forks. And so we got a pair of pallet forks. The one drawback with this tractor, I actually like just about everything about the design, but it has its own sort of quick attach, and it has a quick attach, so that's pretty critical. I would prefer probably the skid steer quick attach. And to be honest, when we were gonna get the Kubota, for the 6 months we were waiting to get it, I bought a pair of pallet forks, I bought some other attachments, none of which would fit this tractor. And so I had to turn around and sell those and then get these, but I'm pleased with this. Probably the good thing about this is that the skid steer quick attach is a fair amount of mechanism, and I think it adds some weight. This has about a 1,200 pound lift capacity, which for a small tractor is pretty good because the thing doesn't weigh a whole lot much more than that. But using their own sort of smaller quick attach mechanism, it's a lighter system. So of that 1,200 pounds, I probably get more lift once I've got an attachment on there than I would otherwise. It does come off and on, and really the only three things I'm going to put up there are the bucket, the forks, and then probably a grapple. And I've got a third function plumbed and everything ready for a grapple. They don't make a grapple, or it's not available through Yanmar. So what I'll do is I'll buy a grapple, and then I'll weld on those the little tabs that allow it to quick attach. So those are the only three things I'm going to probably use up there, and I may regret that because maybe someday I'll find some other thing I want up there. But right now I don't see any other reason. So this quick attach really wasn't that big of a setback for me. It has rear remotes as well, and so I can use those for the offset flail mower and for a adjustable top link and some other things I maybe don't even know yet. And then we got a skid plate on it because so much of what we're going to go through is just, I mean, I'm looking around here and it's 12 and 15 feet tall of Scotch broom and blackberry, and we're going to plow through that and run the flail on it. And so I didn't want all this plumbing and everything to get caught up, and so we got a skid plate under there. Other than that, it's pretty much, they come pretty fully featured, and so it has most everything we need. So really all I'm going to do is, you can watch me with my initial efforts at using the tractor. I'm going to just pull these implements off the trailer here. I'll do a separate, like I said, I'll do a separate episode on those and some of the other features of this thing. But it's a new addition to the outbuilding, and it'll be kind of fun. if it's not obvious, I'm new to tractor driving, but it's kind of fun to try, and got those things moved. So now I'm going to try to take up this stump and start with these fence posts. There used to be a dog run here that we've eliminated, and it had 15-foot tall Scotch broom in it when we first got here. So we've taken all that out, but these stumps, I'll try to muddle around with the backhoe here and see if I can't pull this stuff out. Well, I've got a lot to learn with the backhoe, but it is super handy, and I was just doing that at idle, so I think I have a lot more power if I want to spin up the motor more. I'll clean this up and move on to the next thing, but I can see that this is going to be super useful. Yesterday I ran out of daylight, and I had pulled the backhoe off and realized that the 3-point hitch, the lower arms need to be attached to a rod that goes across, and the tire's in the way. And so you can, if I read the instructions last night, and you have to pull both tires off. I think you can just pull one tire off and move it. And I don't have a jack here, the right jack, but I think I can just use the backhoe and jack stands. I can lift the back of the tractor up, set it on jack stands, try to pull this tire off. I don't know if I have the right socket for that, but I'll see if I've got the right stuff to pull the tire off and get that piece on. I think once that's on, I can then put the arms on back and forth without having to take the tire off. I know that's true from watching a video, but the first time I need to get it, it's captive in there, and I need to get it put in. So I'm going to try to lift the back of the tractor up, block it up, and then get the one tire off and get that piece on. Then I can pull the backhoe off and try a couple of these 3-point implements. So I went to grab lunch and grabbed a 24-inch breaker bar, which is, I need that for the high torque, and then the right size socket, which I did not have. So now hopefully I can get these a little loose before I lift the tractor. So I'm running into a little bit of a problem here. I think the techs, when they did some of the install stuff, put the wrong, they probably used the wrong size socket and used an impact wrench and overdrove these, because there's paint marks on here that show you where they should have been torqued to, and they're way over torqued. I was able to loosen one or two of them, but I'm going to see if I can get the others. I may not be able to, in which case I don't know what I'm going to do. The other side did not have the tire removed, and the little paint marks all match, and they're right at spec. So I can always pull the other side and do what I need to do right now on the other side, but it's a little disappointing. And I talked to the dealer. He was going to talk to his tech and certainly can get me some new bolts and rectify it. But anyway, I may be jammed up a little bit here on this side, and I might switch to the other side. So on the right-hand side, two of them were just so tight that I can't get them to move, and the heads are all mashed up. So I'm talking to the dealer about that and get that resolved. I'm going to switch to this side where these haven't been molested, and they should come out pretty easily. So all those loosened up with what felt like about the 100 pounds that I retorqued the other side to. So I'll go ahead and lift it up now and get this wheel off, and I hopefully can do the work I need to do from this side. All right, so I'm a little bit stuck. The rod that I want to slide out so that I can get a piece of the 3-point connection in is captive, and it's captive, I think, because it's under load from the subframe of the backhoe, and so that there's normally there's a pin that goes through. It's on the other side, but it goes through and captivates the rod, and the rod is just stuck. And when I had the backhoe off the other day, it slid back and forth easily. So I think what happens is the subframe flexes a little bit, captivates that, and so I'm not able to do this with the backhoe subframe on, with the backhoe loaded on the tractor. So I'm going to need to stop for today. I'll put the wheel back on, put everything away, and then next time I'm out, I'll have to bring a car jack, take the backhoe off, lift it up, and do it all with the backhoe off. So I can't do it the way I've got it set up right now. It doesn't seem. It's too bad, but I need to get that. I need to figure out how to get the other wheel off too to do that. So mistakes happen, and what happened on the other side there, I get what happened, and it's too bad that the tech did that. The dealer did a really good job he got right back to me. He's got a tech in the area who's going to be out here in the next little short bit and fix that on the other side. And I really appreciate that. Like I said, when I looked at tractors, I looked at the different dealerships, and although there's 3 right side by side, the one that I bought this from is actually the smaller or less established of the different storefronts there. But I went to one of their other regional locations and saw how big they are generally, and I know they've got really good support. So I feel like I made a good choice. You buy the brand, but you also buy the dealer, and the dealer's doing a really good job of getting after this and fixing it. So I'll wait for him to come and do that. I'll probably put this wheel on for now, and I'll probably pull the backhoe off because I'm going to need the backhoe off to get that pin out anyway. And then with the wheels properly set up, it'll be easy to take on and off whenever I get to that. All right, and this is the way they're supposed to be torqued. While I'm waiting for the tires to get changed around, or the wheels to get changed around, I'm checking my hydraulic fittings, and they don't fit. This is probably a 3/4, and this is probably a 1/2, or whatever the size difference is. So I'll probably, before I leave today, I'll probably pull one of these and make sure I go get the proper fitting at my hydraulic shop. Anyway, I wasn't going to be able to use the flail anyway, given that. So we'll get this squared away for the next trip.